Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video. There's no new year starting without a preseason winter test, so here we are in sunny Barcelona at the Circuit de Catalunya. You can literally feel the buzz and the excitement from every single driver to finally get back into the cockpit and compete for the VFC crown till the last corner, and that's how I feel too. Entering my third year in a virtual Formula Championship and my second full stint with the Scuderia Cesario, I want to introduce the other competitors with the driver lineups, tell you more about the testing session, and also talking about our objectives as a team as much as my personal goals. But before we hit the track, I just want to mention that over 90% of you watched my videos last year have not subscribed to my channel. So if you do enjoy this video and want to see more of those in the future, please consider hitting the subscribe button. This little effort from you helps me out a lot. But anyway, let's get on with the video. So here we are, the first official exit out of the garage in my car with the number 14. Leaving all difficulties of 2020 behind for good, with fresh air and new focus to the new challenge. I also like the new look of it. Aggressive low nose, the black shark fin towards the rear wing, a darker red paint pretty much reflects the team's mindset. Although this livery is not the launch version yet. In our back, there is our homemade V6 turbo hybrid engine we know from the current F1. But there is a change from the tire side. Last year, we had the fast rubber of Pironi. This year, we swapped them for the more durable and also cheaper tires from the Netherlands, the Duursam tires. These need some time to get up to temperature, but last longer than the competitors from Pironi or Yasuda. Having a fuel tank of 80 liters, we create ourselves plenty of options in terms of race strategy. The car was redesigned by Chinese Wu Qilu. He improved many areas and made the car so much more stable, as this year's racer is an evolution of the 2020 car. An official aerodynamical development makes us to one of the fastest cars in the grid in terms of possible high speed. So, on paper, this is a very strong race car, but enough of that. Join me for the first lap of the year. So entering the start-finish straight, 7th gear, and now this year we have 8 of them. Building up the speed over the crest up to 285 kilometers an hour. I know the speed is not very high. It's because we are in engine mode 1. Going through turn 1 and 2 carefully, also turn 3, short shift into 7th. Don't over push the tires, just a careful lap as the track is also green. Now turn 4 in 4th gear. Open up the steering wheel a bit, sweep to the right into downhill turn 5. Car wants to oversteer a bit, but it was okay. It's not about speed. So now going through the fast part of the track into the Kamsa corner. Short shift, lifting, just careful. Look at the track limits, don't over push the car, just a careful lap. Now into the hairpin in 3rd gear. Not much to say about here. And also the same in last sector. Now I have to match my time to get a 1:25.0, something around that. So that's why very careful, very slow actually through the final sector. Also hesitating to accelerate. And now here is the line, and I did a 1:25.3, which is okay. So what is the point of this test day? This day is crucial in terms of car development. Here are the rules. You need to complete at least 54 laps with both drivers within 90 minutes. Every lap has to be in a certain time delta of a quarter of a second. Furthermore, at the end of the session your team has to be in the top 3 in the timesheet. If you get these things done, your team will be rewarded with extra development points, meaning you can bring your first upgrades to the season opener in Australia in 3 weeks' time, gaining an advantage to the rest of the field. So, in our case, as calculated, Lucas and myself need to drive lap times around 1 minute 25.0 and stay within 0.25 seconds to get the needed amount of laps together, which is way slower than we actually can do. And there's a challenge. Drive slower than you can without being too quick, and at the same time staying focused without falling asleep. That's a pretty unusual drive. After 27 laps completed, now it's Luca's turn. The two-time champion is extremely motivated to bring the Scuderia up to the places it belongs. He practiced a lot beforehand to shake off his rust, as he hasn't been involved in a VFC round since spring 2019. His incredible speed, his experience, will certainly help us a lot. So it's fair to say that it's a great acquisition by González Cativo, who also remains part of this team as a principal. With his support, as much as with my setup knowledge and a champion alongside me, we are pretty well prepared to attack the grid. After a season like last year, we set ourselves a bit lower but still realistic objectives. Despite not having the strongest package overall, we are confident to find ourselves deep in the points on a consistent basis. Thanks to a strong aerodynamical development and more durable tires, at some venues we have a pretty good chance to be a victory contender. But maxing out every point gain is hugely important, which we put our main focus on. For me personally, there's no big goal I want to achieve, like 5 podiums or so. I just want to perform better than I did last year and help the team out to secure as many points as possible. I know there were some things which I could have done better, and I spent a lot of time in the off-season to work on these. Mainly, I just want to stay out of the trouble I had in the past. For sure, it will be a huge task for me to beat my teammate, who is a two-time champion if I haven't mentioned it yet. Many people believe that only one Cesario driver will be successful in seeing my part a bit down the grid. But on the other side, he's just a human being as I am, so why don't I give him a proper crack for his money? Finding a good chemistry with my teammate, to me, is more important than my ego of trying to beat your number one opponent. And this is what I mainly focus on. But enough about us. There are plenty of other cars and drivers around the circuit. For example, Volksmobil. Hiring the current champion Kevin Peters, it's not only the number one on his nose, which makes him and his team to an obvious title contender for 2021. Peters showed in a great fashion what kind of racing driver he is. The freshly crowned champion is more than ready to defend his title with arguably the best overall package in the grid. His teammate is Sven Schubert. Finishing 2020 on a high note by winning the final race in Mexico last year, he will certainly make Peters' life a bit more difficult to defend his title. The Swabian is very experienced and should never be underestimated. And his knowledge about Formula 1 is also very hardly to match. Another team never to be underestimated is Newman Racing Team. Jannis Walborn fought like a lion in 2020, but fell short to Peters. This year though, he is even hungrier to get back what belongs to him. The high-nose racing car fulfills every hope to be better drivable as his predecessor, which was known for its understeer. His backup is my former teammate Yannick Barvik. He found himself a great team to show what he can do in a competitive car. I'm pretty sure he wants to challenge his champion teammate as well, and also stay ahead of his former employer. I'm certainly looking forward to fight this guy on the track. Bastian Peißler and Razor GP team up for another season. This guy was the surprise of the year with 2 wins and was dealt as an underdog championship contender and finished on an astonishing 3rd place. Although, according to Peißler himself, this year will be more challenging, as the car is not as powerful as he has hoped, but that slight chrome touch on the car makes it at least beautiful to watch. An important acquisition for Razor GP is Tim Brendel. The polemaster was in search for a new team after Full Send Racing Team made the retreat of the championship public. Brendel is another experienced racer who understands like no other how to extract everything out of one lap. This guy has to be on your list anytime. The future of British-based Clifford Royal Racing is as bright as the livery, you might say. And you'll probably be right. Having not the easiest season in 2020, they put a lot of things right by signing Alexander Knežević. The Bosnian got sacked by Newman despite strong results and is now keen to make it clear that this was a huge mistake. His experience and consistency is what makes him so dangerous. And if needed, he can make his overtaking skill work well. This year, he will be the driver with the most race starts in history of the GSO community. Cooper McAllister extended his contract with the Royal team for another year. the champion of 2012, with arguably the most beautiful helmet on the grid, is ready to top his last year's point tally of impressive 37 points and 1 podium. Together with Knežević, Clifford has a very strong lineup, showing that they're serious on what they do. The Spanish racing team Equipo Saldo has probably the longest preparation of all teams. Compromising last season by stopping developing their car very early, they saved a lot of budget to put into 2021. And boy, it looks striking. Not only the livery, which might not be the launch version yet, but their package is what makes them to take very serious. With Luka Zorn and Yannick Malaika as the drivers, Saldo definitely rely on experience, as these two guys have 57 race starts combined, and they really can make it count. So watch out for the Spanish Bulls. The the Clipper team, is almost a great revival story for its own. Being last for the majority of 2020, Pascal Polens helped the team to score 46 out of their 49 points to secure 9th in the table. Also, there was a rather fairy-tale and controversial win in Japan, making Cesario even more ashamed. So it's the most obvious thing in the world to sign the 5-time Grand Prix winner for another year. The biggest strength of Polens is that he never stops to surprise, and believe me, I worked with that guy in 2019. Pascal will be partnered by a newcomer Life Nordic. During the test, he presented himself fast and confident, so we can be sure he will be a good point candidate as well. Mansell Grand Prix, a well-known name in the community, now finally joins the big stage for 2021. With an also interesting launch livery, the newcomer team is possibly the biggest question mark. Behind the wheel, they signed American Travis Carter and Sebastian Steinhauer. Both have not many race starts combined, so 2 young drivers for a freshly formed VFC team might be the right recipe for success in long term. Another well-known team from other series within the community is Russia GP. They rejoined the VFC full-time for this year. Team principal Vladislav Rusinov said that this car is an alternative concept to try something different. And different is also their livery, a mix of darker grey and black to more point out the Russian flag. Schluter ended last year on a very high note despite having a rather inconsistent season, but his driving skills should never be questioned, as in my opinion he's one of the best drivers in the championship. Fabian Jungblut, however, had a good year in an average car and finished 14th with a total of 38 points. His rather defensive driving style makes him a threat from behind, meaning that he is also a driver you always have to reckon with. Newly formed Beta Giulia also joins the championship. The Italian-based team works in close cooperation with Scuderia Cesario and is another question mark. The Swiss Daniel Bentenrieder and Bavarian Johannes Greulich are the confirmed drivers. With 54 race starts, Bentenrieder is now an experienced veteran, although his consistency was more often an obstacle for scoring a healthier amount of points. Own mistakes and collisions let him score only 6 in 2020. But everyone who got to work with him closely will know that this man will never give up and is burning to perform better for 2021. Greulich, on the other hand, is a pretty new gun with having only 2 starts as a substitute. But his impressive qualifying lap in Hungary put him up to P2 in his debut, which impressed the leaders of the new team, and that's why they offered him a full-time seat. Another sister team making the grid is our Academy. Working closely with Razer GP, this team keeps on relying on the services of the Italian Lorenzo De Cutis. He also had a changeful season, but managed to tally crucial 19 points to help the team get 4th in the constructors table. In his 3rd tenure with the team, the expectations will be higher, but he proved many times that he can match them. Alongside the Italian is Alexander Kraft. Coming from Clifford, he's another interesting character as he scored a surprising 3rd place in Austria. A solid, fast and reliable driver is what our Academy needs right now, and I'm sure Kraft will not disappoint. Also, this team battle will be interesting to watch, of who of them will prevail. And the final entry on our list is, in my opinion, the most beautiful livery on the grid. Scuderia CM Motorsport. The Bordeaux red, combined with black and the sponsors, make it striking but smooth at the same time. This Italian team is very optimistic to have a good year. Their helping hands will be native driver Gino Gaggiano and Alexander Rutt. Both have relatively young drivers and it will be interesting to see what they can do. But in terms of livery championship, they for sure are the winners. My god! So, the session is about to come to an end. These are the 11 teams and 22 drivers for the upcoming 2021 VFC season. 18 races within 7 months, as we watch Lucas Schmidt setting a hot lap to put our team up to second position, meaning that we got our first big upgrade already in our pocket before flying to Australia. On March 7th, the season will get underway, and I'm definitely looking forward to race, as this current grid appears to be the most competitive grid in the history of the GSO community. So many experienced drivers, with several titles and race wins combined, bunched up so closely in the timesheet, will certainly be very interesting to watch. So if you like what you've just seen, please hit like and subscribe to stay tuned for more of my videos. That little effort from you guys helped me out a lot. Until then, have a nice day, please stay healthy, and I'll see you next time in another video. Goodbye!